What I wanted to point out with when working with strings is how you add them together. So if you look at this particular example, I have an int A, int B, and I'm just saying added together you get. Now once this part right here, added together you get, is a string. And once I add the integer to it, this actually turns the value that's inside of this variable into a string. So this piece is turned into a string, and then it would add B, and it would turn this into a string. So instead of getting 11, like you would expect, I get 56. And that's because this is a string, so it changes the value inside of A to a string, and then it changes the value of B to a string. So if you want these particular things to actually be added together, you'll have to think about your order of operations again. And you would have to put them inside of a set of parentheses so that the addition happens and they're both treated as integers. And then after the fact, they would be changed over to a string whenever it gets added to this print line. Now I want to switch over and explain to you the substring method that you can use whenever you're working with a string. This first example uses a string variable called location that's currently set to the value outside. And the positioning inside of our string actually begins at 0 instead of 1 like we would think, just in normal day-to-day conversation. In Java, this is actually quite common. Whenever we start working with arrays in a couple weeks, we'll find that the first position inside of an array is actually 0 as well. So if I want to use the substring method, I have to call it on a particular variable. So in this case, my variable name is location, dot, and then the method is called substring, and I have to give it a value. So from here, I'm saying I want what's in position 0 all the way up to 3, but it does not include 3. So in this case, it will return out to us. So it would start at 0, grab the O, grab the U, grab the T, and then it would see, oh, this is position 3, so I'm done here. So it cuts it off, and it would store that value into first part. So by using a substring, unless we save it back into the variable name, the variable name of location, we're actually not overriding what's inside of the original variable called location. Look at another one, location.substring 3 to 7. So it's going to start at 3 and go up to 7. Well, there is no 7, but that's okay in this case because it's not going to include 7. It would just go up to 7. So in that value, I would have side. Next, if I use location.substring 3, this is going to start at 3 and it will just go to the end. So even if I don't provide a final value and I just put in a starting value, that means it will go all the way to the end of the string. So I'd also end up with side. I can concatenate these pieces together. So if you look here, I have a new variable called location changed, and I'm taking substring 0 to 3. So 0 up to 3, but not including 3. I'm adding a dash, and then I'm taking location from substring 3 on. So I would end up with out dash side. Some other common string methods are to uppercase. So this would take whatever's inside of first name and take everything to uppercase and store it inside of this first name all caps variable. So I would end up with Mary all in uppercase. Another useful one, to lowercase. So in this case, it takes what's in first name and stores it in the first name lowercase, so I would end up with Mary. I can also combine these puppies together. So I can take a substring from 0 to 1. So 0 to 1, but doesn't include 1, so I'm just grabbing that in. And I'm taking it to uppercase. And then I'm grabbing first name from 1 on and taking that to lowercase and sticking it all together. So I would end up inside the first name capitalized variable, Mary, with the first letter capitalized and everything else to lowercase. This is a really common used line here to capitalize the first name or the last name, because it's flexible. As long as the name is 1 character long or 1 character long, it'll capture that, make it uppercase, and then take however many characters are left to lowercase. So this wouldn't work good with names like Mary Ann, where we might need to capitalize the A, but there are other ways that we can work around that as well. We could actually look for a space to find out if we need to capitalize a second name. So those are some of the common used string methods, the substring, uppercase, and the lowercase. And then I've also showed you 2 examples on how to concatenate or join those 2 back together.